The glass facade of the high-rise shimmered in the morning light, casting long reflections onto the busy streets below. Inside, the 47th floor was a hive of silent anticipation. Assistants checked the projector one last time, legal teams reviewed the term sheets, and security stood poised at every exit. This wasn't just any boardroom meeting, it was the final pitch for a historic $2 billion merger in the clean energy sector. A decade of blood, sweat, and strategy had led to this moment for one woman. Amara Jones, Amara, stood near the end of the long oak conference table, her presence calm and composed. She wore a gray pantsuit, her hair pulled back neatly, eyes focused, shoulders squared. Her startup, Solvanta Technologies, had recently developed a battery compound that could store solar energy at one-third the current cost and innovation that had attracted attention from government agencies, tech media, and major investors. Today, she was set to meet Douglas Remington, the billionaire tech mogul known for both his deep pockets and deeper arrogance. As the elevator chimed, all heads turned. Douglas entered like he was stepping onto a movie set. Tall, silver-haired, and self-important. He didn't look around to acknowledge anyone, just strolled in flanked by two assistants in matching dark suits. He wore tinted glasses, an unlit cigar in hand, and a smirk that made the air around him feel heavier. Without stopping, he asked the room, "Is the CEO present? I'd like to get this over with before my lunch at Cipriani." Amara took a small step forward and said firmly, "Yes, you're looking at her." Douglas paused, turning to face her for the first time. His gaze moved from her face to her modest suit, to the small pin on her lapel, the Solvanta logo. Then, casually, she extended her hand for a greeting, a professional gesture. A basic courtesy, he blinked, let out a light chuckle, and tilted his head. My apologies. I assumed you were part of the admin team." He looked past her, searching for someone else. Then, dismissively, he added with a wave, "I don't shake hands with staff." A pin-drop silence fell over the room. One of his assistants looked up sharply, and a few of Amara's team members exchanged stunned glances. A junior engineer visibly clenched his jaw. Amara held her hand suspended for a second longer, then calmly let it fall. She didn't blink, she didn't show offense. But the temperature of the room dropped a degree. Her voice remained smooth, almost gentle. "No offense taken. Shall we begin?" Douglas smirked again and walked to the head of the table as if it were his natural position. He didn't notice the subtle shift in Amara's expression, the way her jaw tensed ever so slightly. He thought he'd made an impression. He had. Just not the one he'd be expecting. Douglas didn't wait to be invited to speak. He took command of the room the way a man used to power always did, loud, assuming, and performative. As he sat at the head of the table, he glanced briefly at the faces around him but never truly saw them. Not their tension, not their pride, not their readiness. Just placeholders. Amara remained standing for a moment longer, letting his energy fill the space before she slowly took her seat at the opposite end. "Let me get right to it," Douglas said, loosening his collar slightly. "You've built something impressive. I'll give you that. Really, a game changer, they tell me. But let's be honest, big ideas are only as valuable as the hands that shape them. You need someone who can take your little invention and introduce it to the world stage. That's me." He reached into his leather briefcase and pulled out a thick folder, sliding it across the polished table like he was dealing cards in a casino. "This is a full-term acquisition offer. My attorneys hammered out the essentials. You get paid, I take over. We move fast." Amara opened the folder, flipping through the pages with a slow, deliberate hand. Her face didn't move, but her silence spoke volumes. Douglas continued. 70-30 split, I get operational control. You retain a role as chief tech officer. You'll get a generous salary, stock incentives, and public credit for your vision. You don't even have to attend board meetings if you don't want to. Just keep working your magic in the lab. I'll take care of the real business." He chuckled to himself like he'd just told an inside joke. Amara looked up, This document assigns all our proprietary tech to your shell company. In perpetuity, asterisk, he nodded. Standard procedure. If I'm investing this much, I need ownership. You're still involved. Just ... in a more focused way? Asterisk, so I build it, you brand it, and then I work for you. Asterisk, it's a win-win. Asterisk, she set the folder down and looked directly at him. It's not even a conversation. Asterisk, Douglas leaned back, clearly irritated. You're overthinking this. Don't make it personal. Asterisk, Amara didn't flinch. You made it personal the moment you walked in here and dismissed me as staff. Asterisk, A. Tense silence followed. No one moved. The air grew heavy with unspoken reactions. Her team watched her, quietly proud. Douglas's assistant shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Asterisk, I came here willing to listen, to collaborate, to grow something important with the right partner, Amara said. But you haven't asked a single question about our mission, our roadmap, or our customers. You assumed you'd buy us out and ride the PR wave of saving the planet? What you're proposing isn't a partnership, it's a takeover. Asterisk, Douglas leaned forward. You need me, asterisk, Amara stood. We don't need vultures. We need visionaries, asterisk, the room shifted. Everything about her presence now radiated certainty, control, and finality. Asterisk, Douglas tried to save face. You think someone else will give? You a better deal than this? 2 billion? Good luck. Asterisk, Amara smiled. Just a little. It's not about the money. It's about who I trust to hold the steering wheel beside me. You never even saw me, so no, I won't be signing anything today. Asterisk, she turned toward her team. We're done here. Asterisk, and just like that the power flipped. The billionaire who had walked in like a king was now just another man who underestimated the wrong woman. Asterisk. Douglas stood as Amara and her team began to collect their documents. His voice followed her like a last attempt to reclaim control. Amara, let's not walk away from something this big over a misunderstanding. I meant no disrespect. I didn't know, asterisk, she paused, turning back slightly. You didn't care. To know, she replied calmly. And that's the problem. You walked in here expecting ownership, not partnership. You assumed power gave you privilege over respect. Asterisk, one of his assistants looked down at the floor, visibly uncomfortable. The other quietly closed the laptop. Realizing the meeting had ended long before Douglas did, asterisk, Douglas stepped around the table. Come on, you're clearly smart, passionate, you've built something incredible. I admire that. But don't throw away this opportunity because I didn't shake your hand. Asterisk, Amara took a slow breath. You didn't shake my hand because you didn't see me as your equal. You saw a black woman in a suit and assumed she couldn't possibly be the person you were here to meet. That wasn't a slip, it was a statement. Asterisk, his face tightened. Look, I don't care if you're black, white, green, or blue. Asterisk, stop, Amara said, her voice firm now. Don't reduce this to colorblind nonsense. What you said, what you did, has weight. Intentional or not, it exposed who you are. And who you are is not someone I will ever entrust with my company's future. Asterisk, she gave one final nod to her team. They walked out together, purposeful and proud. The door shut behind them with a soft but decisive click. Asterisk, the conference room remained silent. Douglas stood alone at the head of the table, the untouched term sheet still open, pages fluttering slightly under the soft hum of the AC. For once, he had nothing to say. Asterisk, by the next morning, the news had broken across every major financial outlet. Black female CEO walks out on $2 billion deal over disrespect. Industry reacts with praise. Tech giant fumbled historic merger after ignoring founder's identity. Asterisk, Amara's story went viral. Not because she made a scene, but because she didn't. She remained poised, professional, and principled. And the world took notice. Asterisk, within 48 hours, 3 different investment firms reached out, each offering more capital than Douglas had placed on the table on her terms. One of them, a renowned international sustainability group, offered $2.3 billion in funding, with a seat at the UN Global Climate Forum as part of the package. Asterisk, in a televised interview. A journalist asked her what changed her mind in that moment. Amara replied simply, respect. If it's not at the table on day one, it won't be there after the deal closes. Douglas, meanwhile, saw a sharp dip in his company's stock. Sponsors pulled out. Investors questioned his leadership. A once untouchable mogul had lost more than just a deal. He lost the faith of an industry. Months later, Amara stood at the ribbon cutting of her company's new global headquarters. Cameras flashed, crowds cheered, and young girls in STEM programs watched her with awe. A reporter leaned in and asked, "If you could say one thing to Douglas Remington today, what would it be?" Amara smiled without hesitation. "I hope he learned that power without humility is a temporary illusion. And, that sometimes the hand you refuse to shake is the one that could have lifted you higher than your ego ever will."